Here we have the Ultimate Executive High Back, or the 2390. This is the deluxe version. So talking about what makes this chair special and some of the different features and some of the different benefits. So we'll start with the high back and the shape of this here. So we have that built-in headrest. That built-in headrest acts as a cervical support. So as we're reclining back or conferencing, it's gonna provide more support for the neck, shoulders, and an upper back. So as we're sitting upright, we're supported naturally. The natural curves of our spine are well enough to support the weight of our head. It's when we lean back or recline beyond upright that those neck muscles are at risk of being strained. So that built-in headrest adds that cervical support. With the contour shape of the backrest as well, it allows for more natural support through the spine. Having this inward and outward curve allows for more of a natural, again, kyphotic and lordotic, so the inward and outward curves of our spine. The contour shape of the seat here is gonna help reduce a lot more seated pressure. Now, the shape alone is gonna help do that, acting as a way to more evenly distribute or displace our seated pressure. So if you think about sitting in sand, when we stand up, there's nothing flat about the impression that we left there. So these contours allow for more surface area in contact with our thighs and rear to, again, more evenly distribute that seated pressure. The high density foam core is gonna also give us that longevity to prevent it from bottoming out and give you years of use out of it. In combination to that, there's a high density memory foam throughout the back, the seat, and the arms. That memory foam, reacts to our body temperature and weight and also helps reduce more seated pressure. It promotes better circulation and blood flow. And as we're sitting and we're supported well with the adjustments that the chair has, that better promotion of circulation allows for better cognitive ability, so less mistakes around 4 o'clock, when we're working those long hours. The memory foam, the shape, those are gonna be great for helping provide that pressure relief. Now we can better that with the adjustments, and that's one of the large selling points to Lifeform chairs is the 10 different ergonomic adjustments. Getting into some of those adjustments, we have our height adjustment. The height adjustment, again, allows us to fit that user specifically. We have the angle of the backrest, independent from the recline of the chair. So being able to adjust this angle accommodates the user based on how they work. So while we can fit that user to their body profile, we can better fit them to their work habits or their work styles. So the definition of office ergonomics actually is the human relation to the demands of a work environment. So while most of us end up accommodating to our workstation, this allows us to accommodate to how we work. So again, providing better support. We do have the adjustment to best fit this lumbar support to the user based on the height adjustment of the backrest and the supralumbar here. So that supralumbar allows us to provide better depth to accommodate whoever's gonna be using the chair. Moving over here, we also have the seat depth adjustment. Now the seat depth adjustment allows us to provide the ideal length of the seat to the user's leg length. Now, having this adjustment is important to provide better pressure relief off of what's known as the ischial tuberosities, or in other words, the sit bones. So those two bony points in our rear. If you ever sitting on a park bench or bleachers, after a long period of time, you get uncomfortable, you feel those 2 points. So having this adjustment allows it to accommodate that depth to the user, reduce that seated pressure over longer hours. Now we do have the adjustment to be able to tilt or recline back, again, the importance of that headrest as we're reclining back and tasking. Now, something that's unique about Lifeform chairs, and this chair specifically, is we have a forward tilt function. So the forward tilt, and I'll engage this here, allows for that user who maybe tends to scoot to the edge of the seat and get away from their backrest. And while that's great, we can do that for a short period of time and use our core muscles to sit upright. Eventually we get fatigued and we end up slumping. Most people tend to do this when we're really engaged in our work. So having this forward tilt allows that user to sit fully back into the chair with their hips towards the rear, utilizing the lumbar support, but still feeling engaged into our work. The armrests, we're able to articulate or rotate in and out. Now, we mentioned before that the arm pad itself has that high density pressure relieving memory foam. Now, as we can rotate these in and out, we're again accommodating to that user's work habits. So the goal here is to allow our arms to fall naturally to our side. When we sit for long periods of time, our arms fall naturally into our lap. So if you think about going on a road trip, we start with our hand at the top of the steering wheel. The longer that we go, eventually that hand is towards the bottom of the steering wheel. It's just more natural for our shoulders and for our posture. So as we're typing, we want to keep our elbows as close to our body as possible. The armrests allow for that to accommodate and reduce contact stress on the elbows, and providing that support also helps reduce what's called ulnar deviation of the wrists. So the further away our elbows get as we're typing, in other words, the more our wrists turn, creating more of a risk for repetitive stress injury. We do have the ability to adjust the width of these arms. So there's a star-shaped hand screw underneath that attaches the arm bracket to the mechanism. Just by loosening that hand screw, we can adjust for the width of the arms. We can, of course, accommodate the height of the armrest to that user based on their workstation. Another feature that's really important to mention with the Ultimate Executive, both the 23 and 2490 in the deluxe model, is the knee tilt mechanism. So the knee tilt mechanism works as a knee joint, or I should say it tilts and reclines like a knee joint. And in that fashion, having our center of gravity behind that point of recline allows for a much smoother float and recline. With the addition of the tension adjustment, we're able to set this to where when I'm sitting upright, maybe I'm tasking, maybe I'm working, the chair won't move. I'm not falling back into the chair, it's not springing me forward out of it. When I choose to recline, whether it be I'm on the phone, whatever the case is, we're able to recline. Now, having that forward tilt engaged allows for just a greater range of motion. So if we're reaching for the phone or things like that, it allows for a much more wider range of motion. That knee tilt mechanism and the tension adjustment allows us to fit this chair to any user from 5 foot up to 6'4" or beyond that. So we have a large adjustability range for that mechanism itself. I'd just like to introduce and bring in, this is the Ultimate Executive Mid-Back, or the 2490 model. This is also the deluxe version of this chair. It's part of the same family, so the adjustments, the features, the benefits are really all going to be the same between the two chairs. The only difference that we have here is the mid-back or the lower backrest. So we don't have that built-in cervical support, but we do have the option to add an additional adjustable cervical support.